the CGA Tour, a podcast unlike any other. Now your host, Calvin Alexander.
Welcome back to the latest episode of the CGA Tour Podcast. I'm your host, Calvin Glen Alexander, and on this episode of the podcast, it's another episode of the Big Three in OKC. So I have Joel DeNicolo, and Walter Agnitsch joining me here on the podcast today. Joel, how's your weekend? How's DeNicolo doing?
I see you're following in the footsteps of our lady at News 9. Yeah, chopped up my last name, but I'm used to it.
She only said it like Walter's told me this story here. I gotta rewatch it again tonight. But Walter's told me she only mispronounced it 4 different times, maybe 5.
Well, the mispronunciation, but also there's a news article on top of that where my name is spelled correctly one time in the middle of the story, but every other mentioning of my last name is chopped up like you wouldn't believe. So I'm not sure who does the proofread at News 9. They might need to find another gig or something. But yeah, very unique. It got perfect. Even the capital N and everything was good, just on one line item in that story. But every other area, they chopped it up. The spelling chopped it up with the pronunciation. But it's all good. I'm used to it. No offense. It was just awesome to have a story about someone who's near and dear to myself and my Wolfpack family. Corian Mason, just got perform at the highest level possible in college basketball in the March Madness tournament. Thank goodness we got back here in 2021 after having obviously a cancellation last year due to COVID. And Corian Mason and Abilene Christian Wildcats did win the Southland Conference to punch their ticket, and they got a matchup with the number 3 seeded Texas Longhorns and
Big 12 tournament champion winners. I've got to say, unfortunately, I saw that game in person.
Yes, and so we had the 14 seed Abilene take on Texas, and Corian Mason was the tied for leading scorer in that game for Abilene Christian, and helped produce a major upset, a 53-52 win over the Texas Longhorns. And just in case, I'm not sure if we're doing video or not, maybe not, because Walter, I see Walter Silling in it. So hold on, Walter, for a second.
Put his phone down straight down on
the table. It's been a long day, guys. Hello.
Well, yeah, we had the official watch party going down, and man, just an awesome moment for everybody involved. Myself, Corian, the whole team. We had everybody over here, literally from top to bottom. Had a big old party at my house Saturday night, and man, what a moment it was! What a just a full circle. Again, Corian's about to turn 22 years old here in a few months, and full circle story of having these kids, since they were 13, 14 years old, and getting to see them March Madness. Had family, friends, you guys. Obviously, I know you watched the games from start to finish. Yeah, it was awesome. Literally millions of people invested in that game, and man. What an outcome! What a game! What a moment!
I do got to say, my dad and I were watching March Madness downstairs in the basement, and at first I was like, "Hey, Dad, can we flip it over to the Texas, Abilene Christian game?" My dad's like, "Really? you want to see the 3 versus 14 game?" And I was like, "Yeah. Remember my buddy Joel, who I do the podcast with? He used to coach one of the guys who plays for ACU." My dad's like, "Oh, all right, cool. We'll tune in for 5-10 minutes or whatever." Expecting it to not, be that close. It's a 3 versus 14 seed. It's the Big 12 tournament champion winners that my dad and I just saw steamroll Oklahoma State in the Big 12 tournament, in the championship game. So, go figure. I think we're all kind of just like, whatever. And then all of a sudden, no one was scoring points in this basketball game. I mean, Oklahoma State let 40 points score in the first half against Oregon State, whereas there were only 53 points scored, by Abilene Christian to win the game. So we kept watching it, and we're really into it. And by the end of it, it was, oh my freaking gosh, they pulled it off. They beat Texas. What a story! What an upset! And it was another tip of the hat and a Cinderella for March Madness. Besides just ORU, you also had Abilene Christian win too, which was incredible. So
yeah, the cool thing about Abilene Christian is they've only been a D1 school for 8 years.
Okay.
And this is their second trip to March Madness. They went 2 years ago and went up against Kentucky. Unfortunately, took a lump on the head versus Kentucky. Then we had the COVID season, and then we had this year. So potentially, they could have been 3 years in a row. They were picked to win last year's Southland Conference Championship as well. So potentially, Corian, as a JUCO transfer, could have played back-to-back years. Unfortunately, everything got cut short, of course, in 2020. But yeah, so Abilene Christian, 8 years D1. 2 trips to March Madness, and they just got their first ever victory as a college in March Madness, and year number 8. So, man, the sky's the limit for that school. Coach Golding's doing a hell of a job. Obviously, Corion's a senior, so obviously, he won't be putting on an ACU jersey ever again.
Give him one more year because March Madness got shut down because of COVID.
No, not in this situation. But Corion got bigger fish to fry now. Looking to obviously now have a professional basketball career, Lord willing.
Well, that's incredible. 1, 2. If he ever wants to have some time in his schedule to join on the podcast here, he is always more than welcome. Open invite, of course. Anytime.
I'll let him know.
We'll just ask him about his playing career. We don't necessarily need to grill him about the Thunder trading George Hill. So, Walter, how was your weekend?
I can't complain, Calvin. Like Joel was saying, just watching that game. By the book, it was technically called an upset, but going into the game, Abilene Christian was on a real winning streak. They won the championship game by 20, 30 points. Not to mention they've already played Texas Tech in the Big 12, and they played them really close. So going into it, and Arkansas really close. So I knew they really had a chance in the game, and really, like you said, Corion and them just defensively just keep forcing turnovers. They really frustrated Texas all night. And then at the end of the game, for the big man to hit 2 free throws to win it, that's what I love to see. But yeah, what a great performance. Corion just, of course, balled. And then to start off, unfortunately, they lost to UCLA, but man, he hit first 3 points, gotten fouled, shoot the 3, and then he hit another 3. He had the first 8 points for the team. So I thought he was off to the races. Unfortunately, UCLA just kind of kicked it up a notch, so to speak. Was able to break down the pressure and get a couple easy buckets to pull away at the end. But man, not enough nice things to say about how Corion performed. It's just Joel said it to Channel 9. He's just a champion on every level. He won 3 state championships at Douglas. He won on the JUCO level, and now he won at Abilene. So not very surprising to hear where he's going to end up professionally. Whether it's, the NBA, G League, overseas, whatever he does, he's going to be a champion there too.
Mm-hmm.
Just a shutdown defender, which I know he learned that from the GOAT.
Learned from Joel,
which is you, Joel.
Joel DeNicolo himself, but also
taught him that defense.
I do got to say, shout out to the state of Oklahoma and having 3 teams in and only 1 team remains, which is ORU, which I did not think I'd be saying right now.
OSU really OSU had a path to the Final Four, and they just decided, nope, we don't want that.
Hey, you know what? Oral just won't go down, man. So we'll figure it out
later.
No,
I'm talking about Oklahoma State, Calvin.
Oh, I was talking about Oral Roberts University.
When they were down 14 and then got it within 2 to Oregon State, and then Oregon State went on an 8-0 run to close it out. So just
Oklahoma
really
State
did.
Got within 3, by the way.
Yeah, I think it was 2. But anyways, just to get it to Cade Cunningham. Cade Cunningham time, thinking, this is we're moving on to go play Loyola Chicago. Probably going to win that game, and then probably Houston, which is a very winnable game for OSU. It just didn't happen, did it, Calvin?
Nope. I'll cover that on the.
This is an NBA. This is an NBA podcast, but
yeah. I don't want to detract too much away from our very, very great trade deadline podcast here we have coming up in just a second or two. But I do want to say, I'll cover it on the Oklahoma State podcast I do with Jake Carlson here, and I think a special guest this week as well. Later on, we'll record, I think, Sunday or Monday on that. But
maybe I'll join in because I've got 2 favorite players now. I've got Amos for Oral Roberts, who I love, and then Dad Bod Kurtwig for Loyola Chicago, who I really enjoy now too. So
well,
we got those.
The podcast is just relating to the end of season Oklahoma State basketball recap, but we will get a March Madness podcast, Walter. You, Sam, PJ, get the whole Agnitsch trio in, right?
Oh God, I don't want to talk to PJ right now. The dude made out like a bandit. I think he won like $300 over the weekend betting these games. Yeah,
good for him. Well, anyways.
Yeah.
10 minutes into the podcast, let's get actually some basketball topics, right? I mean, what are we going to say here, right? So, I don't know. So, clearly today was the NBA trade deadline, in case anyone missed it. There have been some trades beforehand. Some players bought out. Blake Griffin to the Nets. Shout out to Blake Griffin. He had his first dunk in the NBA game since 2019. But
OKC Nets.
Yeah, the OKC Nets are pulling in strong here. He's the number 1 in the NBA power rankings. NBA.com has them. But the specific questions I have for you guys here, we'll start out with. So this is just basically a big trade deadline podcast, and I want to ask Joel, I'll ask you first here. We're going to kind of break it up east-west a little bit here, a couple of questions. But which team do you think got better today? The Bulls or the Celtics? And, kind of go through, what the trades were, too, if you don't mind.
Yeah, definitely. Well, there's obviously some major trades. This was a pretty active trade deadline. It was very entertaining. Watching the TV in the background and seeing the NBA jump. And I like how they had the little graphics with the smoke coming up and the lights flashing as each trade was coming in was pretty cool, especially as we got close to that 2 p.m. deadline Central Time. Obviously, there was some very, very relevant trades that are going to definitely affect the playoff picture. There's a few I know that we'll talk about as questions that you do have for us. But speaking of your first one with the Bulls and the Celtics, obviously both teams making moves. Obviously the Bulls, possibly have the biggest trade of the day, and that's getting a Vucevic in a Bulls uniform, which I think me and Walter were actually messaging our little side chat as well. And my immediate gut response is, wow, they're trying to win right now, like right now, which is very unique. Of them, seeing where the Bulls are at in the NBA stand or the Eastern standings, I should say, pulling in right there at the 10 spot. Obviously, having another play-in tournament this year, we're right now they're sitting at 19 and 24. Technically the 10 seed right now, which would get you in the play-in tournament to get into the NBA playoffs. Billy Donovan is saying, hey, let's go all in right now. And I think I like the pair between Vucevic and Zach LaVine. I think those are two guys that have needed each other, not as people, but as far as just what each other do. Neither one of them have had that on their rosters respectively, obviously with Vucevic in Orlando and Zach with his obviously teams that he's been on here with the Bulls and Timberwolves, of course, where I think they are definitely going to move up from the 10 spot. I'm very confident about that. Having a damaging pick and roll offense now between the two. LaVine obviously is a first-time All-Star this year. Can score from anywhere. And Vucevic, I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this. Vucevic is only one of 4 guys currently this season that's averaging 24 and 10. Do you have any idea who the other 3 are?
24 and 10. I'm going to say Jokic. It's got to be one
that's
of them,
one.
right?
Yep.
Embiid.
That's 2 of them.
And
you said one of 3.
1 of 4. I'm sorry.
He said 1 of 4. He said 1 of 4. So
thank you, Calvin.
Anthony Davis, maybe?
Russell Westbrook.
No,
no.
Dude, come on, man. Just one episode, please.
Well, I think he's averaging close to 20 and 8. So he's close.
Like LeBron's averaging like 20, 25 and 7, so it's not him.
Short. MVP.
Oh.
MVP winner.
Giannis, clearly.
Giannis.
All right.
Giannis.
Yeah, Giannis.
So in that
Giannis.
very unique,
Too obvious.
You got Joker and Embiid, who are in the conversation still to the second of possible MVP winners this season. You got Giannis, a former MVP of the league, and then you got Vucevic. So I'm stoked to see this transformation in Chicago because I know we've had earlier podcasts where I'll admit we were bashing them, talking about they were one of the worst teams in the NBA. I think you guys might have partaked and led it a little bit. I definitely was the leader in that for sure, though. But now with this trade involved, major trade, that I love the lineup obviously with LaVine and Patrick Williams, and I'm a low key big fan of marketing. And then now add Vucevic in there, bringing Kobe White off the bench, and then adding your question with the Celtics. Oh yeah, and they were able to snag Theus over there to bring up the backup postman. Oh yeah, Chicago's
Tice,
gonna.
however you say his name.
Yeah, so sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yes.
Either way, I mean I don't know what the Celtics are doing. I want to be very clear about this. I don't know what the Celtics are doing. The Celtics today made. I don't think they got any better. I got to be honest. I think they got a little bit better, but it's because they had Fournier, which is he's a really really good player for the Magic. But does he change the Celtics? Like, does he? I mean, he probably helps them get back to 500, but I don't know. I didn't love that addition. I would have rather them seen go for maybe Oladipo or on a rental or they go get Vucevic or somebody. I don't know. It's just they need some more help, right? The Celtics aren't going to go sign Andre Drummond after he clears salary cap either, right? They already have Tristan Thompson, who does, probably 50 cents of what Drummond would do anyways, but they don't. I just didn't get what the Celtics did, and I totally think that the Chicago won the day compared to those two teams by far. Well, what about you?
I agree with. I not agree. That is to say, I disagree. Sorry, it's been a long day. And God, when was Joel's anniversary again? I can't remember. Anyway,
March 11th. Weeks ago.
Okay, weeks ago. Okay, anyway, I completely disagree, dude. Evan Fournier is averaging 19 points a game. He can create space by hitting open threes. I absolutely love this for the Celtics. Only having to give up Jeff Teague and not even his brother Marquise Teague. Marquise could even sign with the Celtics, and so that way you still have a Teague brother, if you know what I mean, instead of having to give up Jeff. Look, call back to the last episode, or a couple episodes ago, Calvin.
Yeah, fair.
Anywho. So, yes, Vucevic, whatever, going to the Bulls obviously will help them, but in terms of winning the East or not winning the East, it didn't matter. Didn't matter who they had unless it was LeBron. They weren't going to win the East. The Celtics, unlikely to win the East, however, still could win the East. And by getting a man that can go out and get 20 points a night, space the floor, hit open threes, really when Tatum and Walker or Brown, one of them's in foul trouble on the bench, to be able to give quick baskets, I think will really help the Celtics. So I'd have to go with Celtics.
All right, I mean, if the Celtics can stay healthy, he'll be definitely a good addition with them as well, too. But the Celtics are currently 8th in the Eastern Conference standings. Granted, it's all kind of meshed up together there with a bunch of those teams. But Boston ranks 14th in the NBA in three-pointers made and 11th in three-point percentage. So he'll help out a lot with, clearly those two things, right? Making threes and the percentage as a team. But the best part about it is I guess they didn't have to give up really anything, right? The Magic reportedly are just sent 2 second-rounders and Jeff Teague. So that's what I take away from it.
Yeah. And like I said, they didn't have to give up his brother, who doesn't play in the NBA right now, but, they still
You're
still
real high on the Marquise Teague stock. You have bought all of it and
I have.
more, my guy.
Let's not talk about stocks with Walter.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
Joel, no. Yikes. You want to see my portfolio, Joel, just because the one I said was interesting because they're allowing sports gambling on TV. That seems pretty cool.
Still waiting for it to happen.
Wait for it to happen. Once it happens, ride the wave, Joel, and then you can thank me later.
Well, Walter, let me ask you about the Thunder's trade of the day here, where they waived Myers Leonard. What'd you think?
Gosh, as much as I wanted to see Myers suit up for the Thunder, I understand Sam Presti's move here. And I respect it.
Well, also,
I'm just kidding. I didn't want to see Myers Leonard on this team.
I hate him. I'm just poking fun at you here for a second while I can.
Joel, douche or no douche, Myers Leonard?
Oh man, don't reel me into those type of conversations,
No,
man.
we got to stay clear of that. We're swerving to the left here. I'm going to actually ask you about the George Hill trade, where Terrence Ferguson, former Thunderin himself, gets involved in another trade with the Thunder as the name in there, but of course Terrence is not coming back to Oklahoma City. He's instead going to the Knicks, and the Thunder add Austin Rivers, Tony Bradley, and 2 more picks that are second-rounders. Totaling up for the Thunder will have 34 picks between the first and second round in the next 7 years. 17 picks in the first round, 17 picks in the second round, Walter. What are they building for? And do you like Austin Rivers coming to Oklahoma City?
Well, I don't think Austin Rivers is going to be here. Honestly, I think he's going to be a buyout guy. And the same maybe goes for Tony Bradley. Look, here's the thing. When you're building up these picks, these second-round picks, when you have the team built and you need veteran pieces at the trade deadline, for a few years down the road, you will have these picks. So really, I think that's honestly the main goal was just to have picks ready for when this team is ready to make a run and they need some veterans in there.
Yeah, but I got to play devil's advocate here, right? Okay, I mean, is George Hill worth 2 second-rounders? No, but is he worth 2 second-rounders, Austin Rivers, and Tony Bradley? I think so, right? So
Calvin, he's worth anything because next year he's going to walk in the summertime, so you get nothing for him.
Fair. 2 second-rounders, and clearly even the Thunder know an undrafted guy, and Lou Dort is better than nothing. But at some point, you got to push the chips in, right? And I know I'm talking about this real early into the Thunder rebuild, but George Hill seems like a good locker room guy. Austin Rivers seems like probably a good locker room guy too. I don't necessarily know. I mean, the 2 second rounders are the only things that really the Thunder are keeping from this deal, right? And Tony Bradley, I guess. Tony Bradley, Joel Embiid loves Tony Bradley, so we should all love Tony Bradley too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Joel, what's your take on this? I would say impartial, but
George
as the Lakers
George
fan.
Hill is the guy that you always want until you got him, and then
Right.
you're like, eh. eh. Obviously, I have ill feelings towards the one season that George Hill suited up with LeBron James, and there's a very, very a moment that'll, for any LeBron James fans, will always stand out forever. And of course, that's the missed free throw in Game 1 of the 2018 NBA Finals, where he could have made a free throw, just one more free throw, and they captured Game 1. And who knows what could have happened in the 2018 Finals? But
Still would have lost, but go ahead.
No, I can't say that, man. Can't say that.
I can say it.
Stealing a game on the road in Game 1 of that series would have been monumental, man. But hey, that's old news. But yeah, so George Hill's always in the back of my mind of a guy that was like, man, great fit until you got him, and you're just like, eh. I think that's kind of.
Wait, are you a LeBron fan or a Lakers fan?
Combination.
All right,
Lakers,
fair enough.
LA
so you've
connection.
Been a Miami Heat fan, Cleveland Cavaliers fan, and Lakers fan. Cool. All right. Just checking.
Look,
Got
let me
all
tell
the bases covered here. Walter, I just want to say
Calvin,
I've been a huge
listen
Tom
here.
Brady fan for years. Big Patriots fan
Oh
for
yeah, I'm
years.
sure you have.
And Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan is lately. Also a big Patrick Mahomes fan. Anyways, go ahead, Walt.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say the biggest win of this trade is the fact that we got worse from it, Calvin. To help the draft pick next year. 2 years ago with Chris Paul, they let it ride out. They let us make the playoffs to delay the rebuild 1 year. This year, Sam Presti is having none of it. He said, you will not be good. Here's what I'm going to do. First, I'm going to trade Hamidou Diallo. And next, I'm going to make sure that Shea has a fake plantar fasciitis, or maybe it's real. I don't know. But other than that, they're going to make sure that they're going to sit him down. Lou Dort's got shin splints. We're going to sit him down. Darius Baisley has a bruise on his shoulder. We're going to sit him down. Al Horford's old, so we're going to sit him down. And then we're going to call up Pokachevsky from the G League, and we're going to start him instead of Kenrich Williams.
Do you know Pokachevsky had the league worst plus minus last week? Like season average league worst plus minus.
Well, Calvin, he's got potential. I'm not here to hate on Poku. I'm just saying Sam Presti is doing it right. He's going to give us a top 10 draft pick. We're not playing the playing game. He's going to make sure of that. He's going to sit players. By the time SGA comes back, we will be so far out of it, there'd be no point. And that way, just in case Houston does get in the top 3 and we can't swap their picks, then we can get in the top 3 discussion.
You're right.
Top 4.
Can I ask you? Can I ask you both a question?
Yes.
No.
I'll answer it. Go for it.
Thank you. I figured, Calvin, you'd be the responsible, mature one on this response.
I'm older, so yeah.
As it's 10:12 p.m. and everybody's winding down their night, how does Al Horford feel tonight?
I think Al Horford's got to go. Oh gosh, what are we doing now? I mean, he's just got to have just size. I think he just size because he's got to know at this point, the contract he signed was too rich for his scenario, right? He probably goes in the back of his head, you guys couldn't have traded Tobias Harris. You had to trade me instead. Just because he's now. Listen. You have a life cycle as an NBA player, right? You go through the league. You could have a LaMarcus Aldridge, cycle. You could have a, an Al Horford cycle. You can have a Tobias Harris cycle. Like, Horford's not done. He's not completely done, but his contract is so big, and with everything happening with COVID, where the salary cap's not going to raise a ton in the future, where his contract will look a lot better quickly, it's just a bad situation for Horford overall. I think normally his contract would look increasingly okay moving forward, but it just won't because of the COVID stuff and the salary cap moving up, etc. And then as a double whammy, he's on a rebuilding team that doesn't really want him to play extremely well because, as Walter said, if Horford sees the court, plays extremely well, it's kind of you want him to play extremely well like 2 weeks before the trade deadline so you could trade him for a couple of first-rounders or something in a 3-team deal and get the Magic's first-rounders in the next 2 seasons or whatever. But that did not happen so far. And I think Horford's just kind of. I just annoyed. He can only be slightly annoyed, right? He's had amazing success throughout the league and making the playoffs, winning multiple playoff rounds. He's played for 4 teams in the past 10 years easily, right? Even not more.
Yeah. This is his 14th year in the NBA. 34 years old. He's made the playoffs 12 out of those 13 years that he's played. That's even though he's not a champion. That's still something to hang your hat on at the end of your career.
Right.
And unfortunately, the Thunder's wasting one of his years.
Oh, well, Jesus. Jesus,
but
Joel.
then again, JJ Redick is sitting over there mad and pissed off that he missed the first time he misses the playoffs in his whole entire NBA career is the Zion year where Kobe gets cut short in the whole play-in tournament. And now it looks like he'll definitely make the playoffs after missing 1 year. So with that being said here, I do want to ask you guys about actually a little bit. We'll deviate a little bit from exactly how the outline's written, but of the minor trades, right? JJ Redick to the Mavs, Rondo the Clippers, and on the opposite side, Lou Will to the Hawks, or I cannot say this guy's last name to help me out to save my life. Bjeinca to the Heat. Which of those 4 trades do you like better for happening? Go, Joel.
Yeah, this one's a clear-cut one, and this one, again, as soon as it happened. Actually, I predicted it to happen about an hour before it was official to Walter, because I was going to be scared to death if it happened once I heard the buzz.
Chats, then. Just
and
in here.
Yeah, we'll go throw you in there since Shane's leaving. Rondo to the Clippers. Started hearing the rumblings, obviously, and everybody on this podcast listening, everybody involved with this podcast has already known that we have, I think, had multiple questions throughout, the last few months on how can we get a solid point guard to LA. And, just money-wise, it wasn't working. Structure-wise, it just wasn't working. And now they were able to make it happen, sending Lou Williams to Atlanta in return for Rondo, kind of filling that void that's been missing now for some time. As we know, when Kawhi and Paul George, joined up in LA, that was on paper just a scary combo. Obviously, it didn't come to fruition as everybody anticipated. It sounds like there's a lot of issues throughout the season, especially once the bubble hit. And now you have, with the correct nickname, obviously with playoff Rondo coming to town, back to LA. Leading the Clippers. And if you guys remember before the season even started, my top 2 teams battling out, Game 7 Western Conference Finals was going to be Clippers and Lakers. Obviously, depending on this whole injury situation with AD and LeBron, still feel that way for the most part. But a little bit more, nervous than ever seeing Rondo putting on that Clippers jersey, filling that void. I'm not sure if they're going to start Rondo over Beverly. I would assume so. Beverly, in my opinion, is a
Well, Calvin, it looks like we lost Joel.
George, Kawhi Leonard, Morris,
maybe not.
Serge. That's a tough 5. That's a tough 5. And then bringing Beverly off the bench, Zubac, Kennard, yeah, man, that team, that single move, could have potentially put him over the top.
Well, I just didn't get it for the Clippers because is Patrick Beverly that much worse than Rondo? Is Rondo that much of an upgrade over Pat Bev?
Leadership. This team and that locker room needs leadership. And Beverly, as a hard-nosed, tough defender as he is, leads by example. He's not a voice. Rondo is obviously a champion with both obviously Boston and fresh off of it with the Lakers last year. I was sad to see him leave and head out to Atlanta, and now coming with the Lakers rival, playing in the same arena. This is that we fast forward a few months, and when we're talking about the playoff times and creeping into the finals time, that might have been the move. That might have been the move.
That might have been it for sure. What was your favorite or the biggest impact you think of those 4 minor trades?
Yeah, I'm going to go with JJ Redick going to the Dallas Mavericks.
Your Duke guy. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I got to love JJ, right?
You got to be a little biased to make sure you're a little biased.
It's not biased. I mean, Joel's hyping up playoff Rondo and all that nonsense. But they did give up Lou Williams, who was 6th man of the year. So they gave up. And,
scoring. They already got scoring.
Yeah,
he's a scoring guard. They got scoring with Paul George and Rondo. They got scores
I let you talk when you were spewing whatever you were spewing. Just once again want to thank Sam Presti. If he had not absolutely robbed the Clippers 7 first-round picks and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Just imagine Shai being on the Clippers right now. They wouldn't have any problems at all. So once again, a tip of the hat, Sam Presti. Calvin, back to you.
So I'm a little up in the air in this just because I think that Rondo to the Clippers is definitely a helping thing, but Patrick Beverley is going to still see time with them, so it's got to be more of like that on-court coach type of deal with Rondo and that Pat Bev doesn't do. And on the other side, I got to flip it back and I got to go. Unfortunately, I think I do need to go JJ to the Mavs is the bigger deal just because the Mavericks have been so bad shooting the three-pointer. I mean, the Mavericks have really relied on Luka just to shoot threes, and that's kind of it. And I was so high on the Mavs. Oh, you know what? Like, dude, trading Seth Curry, getting in another defender to help out Luka, all type of stuff is going to be amazing and awesome for him. But it just hasn't played out that way. And so JJ Redick, even though he's having a down year where his career average is over 40% from three, it's like almost 42%. This year he's shooting closer to 36%, and all of his career averages are down. Granted, as he gets a little bit older, that's to be expected. But the Mavericks are not a three-point shooting team this year whatsoever. And they definitely have underperformed expectations. Now, they are 7th in the West right now, and they are still doing pretty darn good. I'm not trying to just absolutely kill them here. But when I look up and down the Mavericks roster, I don't see a ton of three-point shooters. Tyrell Terry has not seen the court and not shot the ball as well as I thought he would have. And Trey Burke's been a really nice addition. Tim Hardaway Jr. has been a really nice player for the Mavs as well too. But adding a guy like JJ, adding kind of maybe that locker room presence as well, because the Mavericks, and if they're all looking up to Luka, well, hey, Luka's younger than all three of us on the podcast, and I think Luka's closer in age to one of my little brothers than he is to us anyways. So,
you calling us old, Calvin?
27. I don't think that's young anymore. We're getting closer to 30. I gotta call it like I see it. But
the dirty 30.
Yeah, dirty 30. But I guess we are still closer to Luke because he's 22 and Jackson's 16. But anyways, if JJ Redick can really help out with the three-point shooting and also be a great locker room presence and kind of do both, I think that'll help out the Mavericks a little bit more than adding Rondo to the Clippers. Now, I will hold my breath on this until playoffs because, as we've seen, playoff Rondo is a different beast than regular season Rondo. I think that's what the Hawks hoped they were getting. The Hawks hoped that they were getting playoff Rondo all the time, when the Hawks will more than likely make the playoffs, at least the play-in tournament or whatever. But they're kind of going, let's go get Lou Will instead because Kevin Huerter's not doing it for us, shooting the three ball. So, and Lou Will is such a great playmaker and six-man, all type of stuff. He's not just a three-point shooter like Huerter is either. So, and the Hawks are 6 seed, so they're right now, and they're in the playoffs easily.
500 record.
Calvin, you brought this up, so I'll accuse you of getting us off the rails. You're talking about Luka's game on the court, which we know is superb. What we did not know up until last week was his pickup game. His pickup line with that ref was very nice. No idea he had that in his repertoire. So I was very, very happy to see that. Give it a 10 on the pickup game. Mid-game, mind you, that he threw that pickup line. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do. I got to give him actually a negative 3,000 for
that was a great pickup line, Calvin, in the middle of the game.
You can't be hitting on women at work. Like, you can't be,
man.
She's trying to do her job, and this guy's over there, trying to laugh it off like it's a joke.
He's just giving her a compliment. He's being nice, Calvin. You don't have to take it in that Tom Brady harassment SNL video. I mean, he's being nice. I mean, he's being true, and it was a great line. I'm surprised they didn't go out for dinner that night. And just thought they would have. Joel, you agree? No, you disagree with that?
I don't think Joel's gonna.
Joel doesn't even know. Joel doesn't even know what's going on. Joel, when Luka nailed a three,
oh my gosh,
he went and turned to the ref, and he looked at her and he said, "I'm fouling," and she goes, "What foul?" And he goes, "I'm fouling," and she goes, "What foul?" And he goes, "I'm fouling." She goes, "What foul?" He goes, I'm fouling for you. And he said that to the ref. Mid-game. Is that not smooth?
Sounds like Luke is
operator.
Very Americanized.
Oh, man. That was beautiful, Calvin. That was beautiful.
Time and place, Luka, and that was not it. Who do you guys think got better here, though, between the two Western Conference teams that make their kind of big trades here? Norman Powell, of course, went to the Blazers. Nuggets got JaVale McGee back, of course, in a different situation than they previously had him, in a different environment. But the Nuggets also got Aaron Gordon, who has, a couple dunk champions, right? Or one dunk championship, whatever it is. So who do you think, guys? Who do you guys think got better, Blazers or Nuggets?
Denver Nuggets, hands down, not even close on that one. Another team that I would say, let me know if y'all agree, would be disappointing thus far, but definitely could turn the tide and really make that push to compete in that top-notch level that I'm putting the Lakers and Clippers in, and possibly really, really mixing the pot. A lineup where you're throwing out, Jamal Murray, Will Barton, one of my favorite players, young players, obviously with Porter Jr., and then athleticism of Aaron Gordon, and then of course Joker, who's MVP caliber this season, and then I'm really big on championship experience as much as I talk about Rondo, but obviously bringing in JaVale McGee, again another player that I hated seeing a departure from the Lakers franchise, JaVale, and now he's joining up with the Nuggets, because if you're thinking about matchups, if indeed they do collide at any point in time during the Western Conference Finals, Lakers will have their hands full, obviously, to contain, Joker and Gordon defensively, but also on the other end of it with Anthony Davis. Now you got a guy that was in practice with him, every day with JaVale McGee, and knows all his, tricks of the trades and can compete. He's long, athletic. And they got the veteran leadership with Millsap already there. The moves of bringing in Aaron Gordon, McGee, put the Nuggets, in my opinion, to compete right in that top realm. I know as of right now they're sitting at the 5 seed right now with both the Lakers and Clippers in front of them, and of course I think we'd all agree the Jazz are going to come down to earth here soon. Suns obviously making a nice little run here in the last couple weeks. But yeah, I think the Nuggets will definitely compete for one of those top 3 spots for sure by the end of the season.
Walt, what about you?
Yeah, this is the one time I'll actually agree with Joel.
You've said it multiple times. You say it quite often.
Last show
quite
I
often.
agree. Today's episode, not so much. Here's the thing, Calvin. The Portland Trailblazers had to give up Gary Trent and Rodney Hood for Norman Powell. Norman Powell's a good player, averaging 20 points a game. So, but adding a player like Aaron Gordon, who's going to be kind of that Jeremy Grant role that they had last year, I think is going to help out immensely. Look at the defensive side. He's obviously going to get the LeBron and the Kawhi matchup. Obviously will help there. And then offensive points and rebounds, I think they had just got the better player out of it. And only having to give up Gary Harris, who they kind of already have those types of players to replace Gary Harris. So
good point.
To add Aaron Gordon, I think was a much better deal than Damian Lillard.
How is Aaron Gordon going to fit in with this lineup, though, is my question, right? Is he going to play like kind of another forward alongside Michael Porter Jr. and defensively? If they're rolling out there, because they're going to have Jokic at the center, Joker, they're going to have, of course, Murray, MPJ, Jokic, Gordon, and, whoever else, right? But they're going to have another guard to fill that 5th spot, right?
Yeah, you'd see Aaron Gordon be more of the 4, and then Michael Porter be the 3 is what I would imagine. But versatile, they'll be able to. I mean, both players will be able to guard. Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Anthony Davis, LeBron. You name it, those big stars out in the West. So I think it was a great pickup by Denver.
Yeah, and Gordon definitely has improved his game over the years. Of course, like any other player, the way the game's played now, you have to shoot the 3 ball to compete, and he's definitely added that to his repertoire. It seems to definitely improve his 3-point percentages tremendously compared to the his first early years in his career, just where he's jumping over everybody and couldn't shoot a lick, shooting like 27% early on. Now he's got his percentage up to 37% this season.
Yeah, which is incredible. I do want to say, though, I think Norman Powell adds a little bit more to the Blazers just because he gives them – Blazers don't have CJ McCollum all the way back yet, right? So he does help them a little bit right now, and he could be a 6th man of the year type of guy in a normal season if he had just started the year with the Blazers. Right now he's averaging almost 20 points a game. Granted, not a lot of assists, not a lot of rebounds, but he's shooting 50% from the floor and 43.9% from three. So I think Norman Powell could be an incredibly great addition as a guy off the bench, a guy to play alongside Damian Lillard, and a guy to really just kind of help out with whatever else is needed, right, and rotate. He's got a 6'10" wingspan. Of course, I'm just kind of reading stats here at this point, but he is really he's pretty darn decent at defense. Is the other thing here. He's just not as tall is the one thing, right? So his he's got a pretty darn negative defensive box plus minus, but at the end of the day, like I don't know. I don't see him playing a ton of small forward, which doesn't really help out the Blazers because they already have a shooting guard and a point guard that they're going to start in any game in the playoffs. But if somehow they can figure out a way to play all three of these guys together, and they can kind of fit in, not Nicole, what's his name start with an N? Right, the Blazers
Nurkic.
center. Yeah, thank you, Nurkic.
Nurkic.
Yeah, I wanted to combine, Jokic and.
I do it all the time.
Yeah.
Calvin, there is one thing you're forgetting though.
What?
Portland is trash, so it didn't really matter.
You still hold that. You still hold that Damian Lillard shot, and let me tell you what. Watching the Damian Lillard shot hurt a lot more watching that by myself in San Diego. Versus watching Oklahoma City and actually being able to sympathize with you in person, because that sucked a lot. But I do got to say here, I think the Blazers could be set up as a little bit of a sleeper team to make some moves, just because we've seen the Lakers just have some injury stuff right now, and depending on how long LeBron and Anthony Davis stay out, I think that's going to predicate a lot of things for the Blazers to possibly move up. Granted, the Nuggets will also move up too. Aaron Gordon's got to almost play like Jeremy Grant, but on like a cheaper, kind of better-ish type of deal, which if he's able to do that, then totally give it to the Nuggets. If he's not able to do that, then got to go to the Blazers. I do appreciate all four of these teams that we talked about, the Blazers, the Nuggets, the Celtics, and the Bulls, at least making swings right now at the NBA trade deadline. We've seen some quiet trade deadlines in the past, and I think last year's was pretty quiet, and or 2 years ago, whatever it may be. But I like all the teams making a move, swinging for the fences a little bit and not doing too bad.
Calvin, I think we can all agree, though, the biggest loser of the NBA trade deadline was the Los Angeles Lakers.
Don't do it.
No. I will mute you.
Let me finish.
I'll mute you.
Can I at least say my point before you
go for it?
You and Joel team up on Walter, just like you always do.
It's just me going at you. It's not Joel doesn't usually team up with me.
It's me.
All right, go ahead.
Houston Rockets traded Victor Oladipo for a bag of Brandon Knights today to the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat are now getting Victor Oladipo for a bag of Brandon Knights, and LaMarcus Aldridge is probably coming there for free. You're telling me the Los Angeles Lakers, couldn't throw up something to get Victor Oladipo on the team? Joel, are you kidding me? Come on, you at least have to admit.
When you get in tight with LeBron's going to take care of you, and KCP's in really tight with LeBron. So there was a lot of strong holding going on there. Dennis Schroeder, obviously, he was definitely expendable for sure.
Oh, God. More than less than KCP? I mean, come on.
Oh, for sure.
More than THT? Taylor Horton-Tucker's real tight with LeBron?
So THT's not a LeBron guy per se. He's a Lakers guy, meaning obviously this whole Lakers AD run, might have a couple years left in the tank, beyond this year, probably 2 years max after this season together. So they're thinking, who can we pair up with AD that's already in the franchise?
Victor Oladipo!
Oh, my God. No, THT, man. They're talking about future. Money. Y'all the ones always tell me about money. Now I got to tell y'all about money.
I thought you were calling me honey.
What the hell?
Yeah, I don't know. Long day.
We steered real hard right there for a second.
Here's the thing. In 5 years, Victor Oladipo will still be relevant in the NBA. Taylor Horton, I have no idea if he will. You take the sure thing right now. You go get Victor Oladipo.
You got to remember, Oladipo, listen. Hey, let me tell you about Oladipo. Oladipo was great, but he's only played in 84 games since 2018. 84 games.
He's healthy now.
Is he?
Yes.
He's not winning games.
Well, that's more of a Houston issue than a Victor Oladipo issue. But yeah, I think the Rockets should be fined. I think this pick swap with the Rockets, that it's top 4 protected, because of this horrible trade, should be revoked. I think we should have rights to pick swap no matter what the pick is, even if it's the first pick. Just how bad that trade is, and the fact that the Lakers could have probably gotten a better deal to him and gotten that deal done. It goes to show. But hey, what do I know? Maybe Austin Rivers and the buyout to the Lakers. That would be a nice pickup for you, Joel. I mean, it's better than the players I gave you in the chat group earlier. Do you want to read some of those? No.
You had me hot earlier, man.
Yeah.
I think the
biggest... name dropping freaking Wayne Ellington, man.
Yeah.
Pure garbage.
You could have had Victor Oladipo.
Then you're going to say Ray Allen.
I hear he can still shoot.
Then you said Caron Butler, man. What the hell?
No, that kind of took a turn for the worse. And then I went Cliff Paul.
Good old Cliff Paul got us, fly back and forth from Phoenix. I think the biggest loser of the trade deadline, though, was Kyle Lowry. Just because he I mean, for whatever you want to say, and I love the SportsCenter thing of people are speculating on Twitter that Kyle Lowry might be done in the Raptors because he threw up a peace sign as he was walking out the arena. I go, yeah, listen, we are completely speculating on if it's a peace sign or what he's doing with both hands, right? Like if he's throwing up, whatever it is, right? Like we don't know what that means.
Whoa. What are you accusing him of, Calvin?
I'm just saying, like, we're going to talk about Kyle Lowry throwing up a peace sign at the camera as he walks away from it after a game. Like, oh my gosh, that could mean it. Bradley Beal, as Joel, sent us the tweet today. Joel sent us the tweet, and Bradley Beal goes, it's finally happening or whatever. I'm assuming Beal was just talking about players are getting moved at the trade deadline, not he's going to the Lakers, which Joel definitely thought he was going to Lakers. He had me going for half a second, and, I had to look into it. But
at 11:15 a.m., he said, here we go. I was like, oh, it's palm trees. It's palm trees. It's L.A. Here we go. I thought, man, yep, I had that one wrong. My bad, guys.
Yeah, he'd rather play.
I read it wrong.
He'd rather play with Westbrook, Joel. But yeah, go ahead.
What a horrible decision.
Wizards won tonight, by the way.
I feel so bad for Bradley Beal, man. Golly, talk about a career being wasted.
Oh wait, I'm wrong.
28. He's 28. Wow. He's got a little bit longer left.
It's prime. It's prime though. It's prime right now. Right now it's prime.
I know.
Oh my gosh, I have correction. The Wizards let the Knicks score 39 points in the fourth quarter. 20-point comeback, and the Knicks beat the Wizards tonight. Never mind. Moving on.
Big shocker. 15 and 28, 13th in the East. Golly, look what
they're getting there.
Well, Kyle Lowry's already a Hall of Famer in my mind, but it's kind of like, is he a Hall of Famer? Like, I don't know if it's a cemented thing. It's not definitely something that's not just for sure in my head every single time, but I'll say this. If he goes, if Kyle Lowry ends up with the Lakers or the Heat, man, those teams, I think, have a big bump in as far as how good they can be. Granted, the Heat did not want to give up on Tyler Hero, and the Lakers clearly didn't want to have to move whoever they would have needed to, whoever the Raptors were asking back. THT, and I think at least Schroeder and, maybe even KCP or whatever, which, you know what, I'll respect it because at the end of the day, Lakers and Clippers are in a very similar position, both the LA teams. They have no capital moving forward in their draft. So when you do have a young guy like Taylor Norton-Tucker, you got to hold on to him because he's the guy, right?
He's your draft picks.
Right.
I'd rather
like the Lakers run into an issue that LeBron James has brought onto the franchise, and it's a LeBron James issue because of this. Normally, LeBron signs 1 to 2 year deals with teams. He signed that with the Cavs, signed that with the
Miami.
Heat, and the Lakers initially. But when LeBron opts in and goes, all right, now I'm signing for full whatever, and you got to pay me for full whatever, now all of a sudden the Lakers have to operate with that salary on the books, and they have to operate with Anthony Davis' salary on the books, and they have to operate with whatever other salaries that LeBron and Lakers want to do to make it win this second. Right, so that's foregoing the future. That's all type of stuff. But by the time LeBron leaves the Lakers, either that's retirement or that's free agency to go play with his son for one season if Bronny's able to make it to the NBA. Hey, hopefully he recovers from surgery, all that type of stuff. Good. I think he had knee issues or whatever. But with all that being said, I'm not worried as a Lakers fan right now because the Lakers are in championship hunt every single year, right? You enjoy these times and you don't worry about 5 years from now. As Thunder fans, that's what we kind of know, right? We kind of know. Hey, we weren't worried when we had KD and and Westbrook, but that's the issue the Lakers are gonna have moving forward is that if they feel like, oh crap, dude, we got to get better. There's not a real great way to get better because they do have LeBron and Anthony Davis' salaries on the books just for several years to come that are such big salaries. It's gonna be hard to add a third guy who would do a lot, especially if it's like some guy like Kyle Lowry who is a great player, but he's a great player for maybe 2 to 3 more seasons. He's not a great player for forever. So, and listen, Lakers can try to go get Beal. If Beal had somehow gone to Lakers, I would have, honestly, the first thing I would open up the podcast with is that the whole league's rigged. But just because Beal's young, and he's got, salary maxed out, everything. So Lakers were able to get him, I would have gone, yeah, it's rigged. It's just LeBron's league, and we're all just watching it. But
hey, Joel, I got another buyout guy for you.
Well, I'll end my rant here with this. The other loser, besides Kyle Lowry, is the Rockets. The Rockets ended up getting nothing back for James Harden. The Rockets initially received Karis LeVert, Rodinos Karukas, don't want to say that, and 3 first-rounders and 4 first-round pick swaps from the Nets. And guard Dante Exum and a 2022 first-round pick via Milwaukee from the Cavs. Now the Rockets have no players, I think, on the actual team that matter a ton, and they have a bunch of hopeful first-rounders and swaps with the Nets, who are not going to be that bad at least next year or in 2024, one would think. And it might come to fruition that they have in 2026 and 2027 bad drafts, maybe 2025 too, but I still don't think the Nets are going to be that bad. So Rockets really just taking the L today on getting almost nothing back for Oladipo. And at that same point, Harden. So go ahead, Walt.
Joel, welcome Mike Miller to the Los Angeles Lakers. Oh, man.
He's going to quit coaching.
Oh, he's going to quit coaching. He's going to sign a new deal. I mean, he's what brought Miami over the top in 2012 against the Thunder. No?
No.
Okay. All right. Okay. Hear me out. Here's another one. Mario Chalmers.
Oh, my God.
KU legend.
Well, my dad did ask me, hey, did anything crazy happen at the trade deadline today? And I said, how well do you know the Orlando Magic roster? My dad said, Shaq and Penny still playing? And I go, nope. He goes, I don't know the Orlando roster. I was like, then not a lot happened to the trade deadline. Gotta be honest.
Man, that 30 for 30 is so good. Has your father watched the 30 for 30?
Yes.
On Shaq? Oh, so good.
Yeah.
It was so good.
All right, Walt. It is time, sir. We have one last segment here, which is the power rankings.
We still got time for it?
Yeah.
Yes, we got time. Of course, we have time for it.
We got 5 minutes before Walt's phone dies or something, right?
Yeah,
so
we'll see.
All right. So, Walt, go ahead here. Take us away with your NBA power rankings, sir.
Oh, man. So this week, again, thank you, Calvin. It seems like I didn't think you'd let me do a couple of these. It seems like now I'm kind of getting it every week, which I'm very happy for. It seems like the listeners really enjoy this. First off, do I have any playing music or any sound effects? Play me it? No? Okay, maybe next week.
Yep,
No,
you're getting some now.
Yeah, that's okay.
You'll be all right.
Okay, here we go. Hold on. Oh,
You got it.
here we go. This will wake
Ready?
Joel up and get him ready.
Yeah, 3 minutes.
Yep. Oh, yes, here we go. And now it is time in honor of the story that came out about Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Joel, you know what's going on with Cinnamon Toast Crunch?
Not a clue.
Okay, so here's what happened with Cinnamon Toast Crunch. A man has accused Cinnamon Toast Crunch of putting shrimp tails in his cereal. Oh, God, what a great sound. Oh, I love that music.
All right, you gotta keep going,
so
Walt.
Okay, here's where it goes weird, is the man happens to be married to the actress that plays Topanga from Boy Meets World. Joel, did you watch Boy Meets World?
Oh, it's Bengals legit, man. She's
Yeah,
legit.
I know, right? Okay, so we already know that this claim is legit. Of course, Cinnamon Toast Crunch has just botched the whole situation. They first said that it was a combination of brown sugar that was clustered together to make it look like shrimp tail. Obviously, it was shrimp tails.
Is this story real? Is this a real story?
This is a real story.
Real story.
This gentleman has also committed sexual abuse to other women throughout the acting industry. But this is a great segue of leading into Walter's top 5 cereal power rankings.
Okay, so here we go. So this is my power rankings of cereal. Keep in mind that this story has affected the ranking of Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Also, I shouldn't say committed. I just should say rumored because it's all on Twitter.
Okay.
Go ahead, Walter.
Okay, go ahead. So before I give my 5, I need to establish some boundaries here, Calvin. Joel, are you still awake? Okay,
yeah, I saw the picture of the shrimp. Somebody could just put some shrimp in there on their own.
You think they could have? Also, there's been some rumors that maybe a rat got into the plant and brought some shrimp tails from the trash in. We're still trying to figure out and get to the bottom of it, Joel.
I think somebody just wants some likes on Twitter, to be honest.
Maybe, but he's already married to Topanga from Boy Meets World, so I don't know how many likes he really needs. Maybe.
Well, he does work in marketing, but you've got 3 minutes left of the song.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. Gotta hurry. Okay. Establishing a baseline, my top 5 cereals. Joel, do not distract me. Okay, first off, we have to go with the milk. Okay, so here is the milk. Here's what it used to be, okay? So I always go Brahms 2% milk. That's what I've done growing. That's what I've been going my whole life. Now, as I'm getting older, unfortunately, I am becoming more lactose intolerant. So I've now switched it to an almond milk, Calvin. But keep in mind, if I wasn't becoming lactose intolerant, still be Brahms 2% every day.
Dude, I thought it was a cereal power ranking. We've had a solid minute of this about milk so far. Got into Brahms. It's 2%. I'm lactose intolerant a little bit now. You're killing me, man.
You're putting Joel. I want to make sure Joel's awake. You're cutting into my 3 minutes, okay? All right. So now we're getting into the rankings. I just have to get it out of the way. What milk I like. Okay. So based on these rankings, this is kind of how I put this together. So after milk taste. So we're talking about after the cereal, drinking the milk from the bowl. How good is that taste? That is one of the rankings. The back of the box material. Is there a story? Is there a game? That also affected into the rankings. Then we have overall taste, the overall taste of the cereal. And then lastly, the last category is how long does the crunch last? So these were the key components into my rankings. Okay, Calvin?
All right, I'm going to find another song to play while you keep going.
Okay, what number are we on?
We haven't started the number yet.
Haven't started.
Got a minute 27 left of the song.
Okay. All right, here we go. At number 5, Calvin, we have
5 of them?
Yes, Joel, 5 of them. Okay, here we go. The Halloween-themed cereal. I'm mainly talking about Frankenberry, Count Chocula, Boo Berry, and Yummy Mummies. Okay, so I gave them an 8 on the after milk taste. I gave them a 2 on the back of box material. I gave them a 4 on the overall taste and a 7 on how long the crunch lasts. This delightful fall tradition was a tradition in the Agnitsch household, and that's mainly ranked high just because of nostalgia. One of the good family memories I had is sitting down with my brothers and eating. Really was more of the Frankenberry. But Boo Berry was in there too.
And in at number 4.
Okay, coming in at number 4. I'm glad you're excited, Joel. I know you're anticipating what number 4 is. Okay, number 4. Okay, here we go. Man, it's a good cereal. Frosted Flakes. Okay, I have them at a 9. And I should have said the scaling is a 1 to 10, 10 being the best. So I gave them a 9 on the after milk taste. I gave them a 6 on the back of the box material. I gave them an 8 on overall taste. And I gave them an 8 on how long does the crunch last. Tony said it best. They're great. So it's all about the frost milk combo. Once you let the frosted flake actually soak into the milk a little bit, you then put it in your mouth. You suck the milk out of the flake before you chew and swallow. You know what I'm talking about, Joel?
Hey, you know what Tony told me tonight? That Westbrook was 3 for 15 and 8 for
no, he didn't. Yeah, it's a first game back from trade deadline. It's okay, Joel. But we're talking cereal. We're not talking Russell Westbrook. Oh, man. Ugh. Okay, so number 4, Frosted Flakes. You ready to move on, Joel?
Yes, let's
This
go.
is you're at least more excited about this than the food one we did a couple weeks back. So there's at least that. So I'm getting somewhere with you, Joel. I'm penetrating you. Okay. Here we go.
What
Dude,
the?
that was said on the podcast.
Oh, we don't play that, man.
Okay, nope.
We don't play
okay.
that.
All right, sorry, Joel. Okay,
Cut
here we
that.
go. Nope, we're not. What? Okay, you ready, Joel? Number 3. Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Okay, I know we just talked about the scandal. Still at number 3 on my big board. Number 10 in after milk taste, 8 on back of the box material, 8 on overall taste, and 9 on how long does the crunch last. Hurt recently by the drama. We all have to admit it, truly a shame, because the after milk taste is legendary. Do you know what I'm talking about, Joel? After you've eaten all the Cinnamon Toast Crunch, you just drink that cinnamon sugar milk that's left.
I feel so bad for Bradley Beal.
Why do you feel bad for Bradley Beal? I mean, he's playing with Russell Westbrook. I mean, come on.
Well, are you on a roll here,
Okay.
or are we just going to stall at number
yeah,
3
no,
with
okay,
CTC?
there we go. I thought I was ready for a round of applause. I thought it was pretty good.
I'm
but
reserving
guess
all
not.
judgments
Okay.
for the end here because
Yeah,
I've
okay.
already
Yeah.
hit on a couple of my favorites, and we
Oh,
haven't gotten to
good,
one.
good. Okay, here we go. Joel, you ready for the next one?
Yeah, make it quick. I gotta go pee.
Okay. Oh, you got to pee. Okay, here we go. All right, number 2. We have Reese's Pieces Puffs. Oh, gosh, what a great one. I give it a 10 after milk taste, 8 back of box material, 9 overall taste, and 10 how long does the crunch last. Oh, man, I've got to tell you, this is probably the reason I'm getting diabetes is because of this cereal. Full of sugar, but man, was it worth it for that peanut butter milk aftertaste. Oh, gosh, such a delight. And then not to mention the entertainment it provided when you started getting down to how many puffs you had left, leaving the spoon on top to see how long it would last before the milk filled the spoon and sunk the spoon to the bottom. You know what I'm talking about, Joel?
The Wizards to give up 120 points a game. That's unreal.
Okay, you can't. I shouldn't have brought that up. That's my bad. I shouldn't have brought up the Wizards. Oh, man. Okay. All right. Moving on to number 1.
It is an NBA podcast, and we had a very loose affiliation with Twitter as the tie-in for this.
Okay. All right, Joel. Norris Cole. How about that? Norris Cole? Nope.
Come on, man.
Okay. Nope. To the Lakers.
What's
All right.
Derek Fisher up to these days? Derek Fisher came back on the
Derek
Lakers.
He was coaching until he wasn't coaching.
Nah, he's still coaching.
He's not coaching an NBA team.
LA Sparks is a professional women's team.
Okay.
What about Matt Barnes? I believe Kanye had a song about both those guys.
I've got a coach for you, Joel, that can still lace him up and probably give you 5 points a night. Juwan Howard.
Oh yeah, he's talking to town right now.
Okay, there we go. So you're talking
Sweet
about
16.
signing him.
Sweet 16.
Signing him to the Lakers. Okay. Good deal.
One of your better suggestions.
Okay. Here we
I
thought Juwan Howard was older than Ray Allen, but here we go. All right. Coming in number 1. At number 1, we have Fruity Pebbles. My God, are Fruity Pebbles good? And let me tell you, I was at the store the other day, and there's a new style of Fruity Pebbles that have like the Lucky Charm marshmallows in them. Oh, so freaking good. So I've got them at a 10 after milk taste, 10 back of box material, 10 overall taste, and 9 on how long does the crunch last. It's the perfect cereal. The only downside of the Fruity Pebble is if once you're done eating it, you have to wash the bowl immediately. If not, it gets glued to the bowl, and it's just a nightmare to get off because it's so small, and there's a billion pieces that are like glued on. So as long as you wash the bowl immediately after you're done with the cereal, there's none better. None better. Am I right, Joel?
Well, let's give it a hand of applause for Walter with his top 5. Good job.
All right, I got a round of applause. I got through to you somehow, Joel. I guess I shouldn't have said penetrated. I should have said got through. That's my apologies. It's been a long day. Your anniversary was a couple weeks ago.
I mean, I don't even know where to go at this point, honestly. So at one point, we had a serious couple of minutes dedicated to the milk Walter drinks with the cereal.
A lot of people are going to agree with me. The start of a great cereal is a great milk selection. Joel, how about in honor of you, the Lakers sign Joel Anthony? How about that?
I'm just waiting for the Andre Drummond tweet, man. Hopefully that happens for midnight. I'll be a happy camper.
Yeah, he's going to go to the Oklahoma City Nets. Sorry, Joel.
Him and Blake Griffin can reunite in Brooklyn.
There you go.
Yeah. All right, Walt. Joel, anything else to add here?
No, I think we covered it all.
All right, well, Joel just wrote in my face that opening day is a week from today here in MLB because he's got the Dodgers hat on. Joel, I got some bad news from you. Padres winning it all this year. So with that being said, thank you so much for listening to the latest episode of the CGA Tour Podcast. I'm your host still, Calvin Glen Alexander. I was joined tonight by Joel DeNicolo. I said his name correctly, even though News 9 couldn't get it right. So, Cody Cole, if you're still listening to the podcast at this point, I know you listen to some of them, and you work for News 9. Fix that shit. Well, Agnitsch also joined us here on the latest episode of the podcast, and we will catch you guys again soon. Peace. Also, please follow out the CGA Tour on Twitter and Instagram for more. And, Cody, feel free to come on the podcast, talk some Oklahoma State football. All right, we'll catch you guys soon, and that's it.
Hey, Calvin, we need to get that job posting open since we don't know if Zev's ever going to come back.
Hey, we're still recording, Walt, so just let the intro play out. We'll be good. All right?
Yep. Love you, Zev.
Hey, Calvin with the cussing, man. He into that show with a bang.
He said a curse word?
Didn't he say fix that shit?
I don't know. It's been a long day.